everybody. It's been a little over a year since I came out. I came out in the summer of 2013, and now it's just beginning to be the fall of 2014, so I thought I would do a little, like, my first year out kind of memorabilia video. For a long time, I always thought that I would, I had made in my head, I was like, I'm going to come out in, personally. I don't want to, like, some people are like, write a letter or, a phone call or something like that. I was like, that's totally not me. I want to do it in person. I had to think a lot because I knew that I didn't feel really safe doing it in person. I felt like it was the polite thing to do, the proper thing to do. So I always imagined having my cousin, he's kind of big, and I always imagined my cousin there, and I was like, okay, if I could just like have him stand there and like duct tape his mouth shut so he couldn't say anything and just look intimidating, and then I really wouldn't feel as scared about any kind of like emotional, verbal, or even physical abuse. Not to say that there would have been, but just the fact that I wasn't comfortable and I wasn't really confident that there wouldn't be. That never happened. I never ended up coming out like in person, and I think I'm really glad about that. Like, it's more intimate, and I think that's what made me think of it as polite and proper, but it's intimate, and I think that intimacy can oftentimes breed a emotional level that people don't expect, and things can get out of hand. So in the end, I ended up coming out via Skype while I was halfway around the world. And it just had gotten to the point that the reasons why I was putting off coming out just weren't there anymore. One big reason was financial security. You should really never put yourself in a position that in a very vulnerable situation, even by people that you love. I didn't want to put myself in a situation where someone could hurt me, hurt my chances for who I wanted to be, or even put that burden on them. If you can't do anything, then you're not tempted by options you don't have. So I think in the end, going with, halfway around the world was the best choice I could have ever made. And it's not to say that you don't trust them, or they don't love you, or you don't love them. It's just that things happen. Anyway, so moving on. So when I did come out, actually, I was so nervous that I messed up the time. I was gonna take a nap because I was like had a headache, and I really couldn't focus, and I was like, okay, well, I need to wake up at this time to get on, because my family was like magically all together at the house at the same time. I was like, oh, this is like Providence, this is great, and I'll just but I ended up making it an hour late because I messed up the time, which again, I really think is Providence. When I got on the top, I was like, oh, I screwed it up, everyone's not here, do I do it, do I not do it? And the timing just kind of feels off, and I'm like, but if I don't do it now, and I was just like, I'm just going to take the plunge, I'm just going to do it now, just like go for it, even if it feels like awkward as shit. And I did, and it was, just kind of like crickets and kind of awkwardness, and one or two questions, which applaud for the questions, I really do. And one person stayed and talked to me afterwards for a little bit, which, applauding for that. My mom and dad had missed it, and completely missed out. They had already gone to bed. I was like, oh. So, everyone asked, like, oh, do you want us to tell? And I said, no, I really think, I should be the one to tell, so on and so forth. That wasn't what happened. And then I get this call the next day, and be like, what is this I hear? And I think that's verbatim. And I was like, yeah, well, it's all true. And at that point again, I think totally Providence. Like, it was a phone call, it wasn't even Skype. Because I was able to control myself much more, not having to school my face, but also not having to see those emotions played out on my mother's face. Hearing it was more than enough. I didn't want to have to see it as well. And I think, again, putting that barrier, that distance of not being able to see each other was actually really beneficial. So happy that it was on the phone. And I felt really happy with how I handled that. I was really happy with how calm I was, and dealing with the negativity that I was receiving. So anyway, that was over, and I think over the next few days, I heard nothing, and then after like a week or something, I heard back from my mom, and there was this sporadic, really trying to struggle, and her dealing with that negativity, and me dealing with that. But that was pretty much almost it. I really didn't hear much from anyone else, very much at all, and if I did, it was very pointedly ignoring the elephant in the room. It was like, okay. And that has stayed pretty constant. It's I think it's a bit sad, that there isn't any more kind of I don't know, maybe it's like interest or involvement, or it's very much ignored, and you can't really ignore something like that. It's just basically ignoring me and ignoring a major part of my life. So I really do think that is sad. But that's focusing totally on the American side. On the other side, being here in Japan, and through that whole process, being like coming into work and talking to my coworkers, and people saying like how's coming out going, just to be able to have that kind of safe haven of someone saying, hey, how are you dealing with this? Being in Japan, I just met person after person after person that has made me so thankful to be halfway around the world. So thankful to have these people that, just say silly shit. It's like, hey, I want to know what you're thinking. Hey, I want to know how you're doing. Hey, I want to know, and you don't have to, you don't have to screen it. You don't have to make it, het friendly. You can say just whatever the shit you want. Like, if you want to talk about, gay bashing, go ahead, talk about gay bashing. If you want to talk about, bad relationships, girls, boys, whatever the fuck, they're completely open to it, and I love that. I've been so blessed being able to live here and have that level of community and support. Like, it's just so encouraging. On the other hand, still dealing with the negativity from home, people saying things, or me hearing about, what people are saying or doing or posting. It's people who don't care how, what they support or what they think or what they say, how that affects me, how it affects me legally, how it affects me socially, how it affects me emotionally, how it affects me in so many ways. But more and more I feel prouder and prouder, and I'm glad that I can, be more confident in who I am. And I'm sure people are going to hate, and they're going to disagree, but being okay with being open, being okay with being out and loud and proud, and accepting the negativity as well as the positive, is empowering. And I'm really thankful that I have been given and blessed with so much where I can be me, the good, the bad, and all the in between. So anyway, that has been my year, my first year being out, and we'll see how things go.